My name's Fiona Lamptey. I am a producer and newly appointed director of UK features for Netflix. Being a producer is like such a broad role. And, you know, some producers, I would say it generally falls into three categories, which is the contractual side, talent and creative, and financial side. And so generally I have a hand in all those three things, and some producers are better at those things than others. But broadly speaking, those three things cover off what a producer does. But I would say what makes a producer unique is their taste and the talent that they work with. I studied media production and video production at university, and one of my first jobs out of university was to work for to work at Channel 4 in their commercial affairs department. And commercial affairs deals with the financial and the business affairs side of program making. Something actually that university never really spoke about. We never spoke about how to raise finance for a project or the contractual side. So for me, it was really interesting to kind of understand the business side of creativity. So I did that for 4 years, and I worked in a lot of different commissioning areas on the TV side of Channel 4. All of them non-scripted. So I did documentaries, factual, and sport, daytime programming. So I did that for about 4 years. And then in the fourth year, there was an opportunity and opening up at Film 4, which is Channel 4's feature film department, to be a production manager. And then I got the job and I worked there for 10 years. I would say maybe about 4 years into my time at Film 4, where I was learning lots of, so much information about film and how film worked, and, how I was looking at budgets, and I was reading scripts, and I was, going into development meetings and, talking to commissioners every day. And we worked so closely. Like, I really wanted to get closer to making film. And so whilst I was at Film 4, I set up Fruit Tree Media. And Fruit Tree Media was, like, my mission with Fruit Tree was to kind of teach everything that I had learned at Film 4 to new filmmakers, and filmmakers that wouldn't necessarily be coming through Film 4 doors. So people that I knew were really talented, but actually didn't have the same opportunities, or weren't, getting the same opportunities. And also my taste was slightly different to the people that were developing and commissioning for Film 4. So it was also to bring new voices through, but put those new voices through the same rigor so that they understood. So when they did get that opportunity, it wouldn't be a shock to them. They would know what was expected of them. They would know how to put together a treatment. They would know how to pitch a project. They would know how to go into production, but go into production in a way in which a financier would expect them to. So have the proper things in place, the proper insurances, the proper protocols, the proper guidelines, and all that kind of stuff. So I started developing and working with talent and making short films, because short films, generally you need less of a budget. It requires, it's not as, you don't need as many people as a feature film. And because it's a short and you require less time from people, you can get actually some really good talent to collaborate with. When I'm looking for new filmmaking talent, the thing that I'm always struck by is who they are as people. Like, I think a lot of the talent that I work with, fundamentally, we have a good working relationship because, you know, we share the same values. Like we have something in common, which is beyond filmmaking. And then creatively, I'm looking for people that have something different to say. And if it's not different, they have a different way of saying it, which is nuanced, but which is also really clear. So I'm thinking about kind of the voice. Like, are they writing? What they have to say? Is it unique? Is it unique to them? Is it truthful to them? Like, do they believe it? What kind of conviction they have about their idea and about their project? Why do they want to tell it? Why do they want to tell this story? Like, what does it mean to them? And I think most of the projects that I've gone ahead with and produced, it's because there's something in it that is quite personal to the filmmaker. And it might be, the seed of the idea might be personal, and then at the end, it's strayed away from that. But, I think when I say it's quite personal, that there's something really honest about what they're trying to say, and that honesty, it's not about kind of what it, who will watch it or what it will do in numbers. It's more than that. It's about, and I think this is really important for me, it's like what legacy the project will leave and what it says to people. What are they trying to say? What's the message they're trying to communicate? And how does that have impact on people's lives? So generally, it's usually beyond entertainment for me. And sometimes it is just entertainment, but I love things that will resonate and have, different connotations with different people depending on who they are. It's really interesting working with talent, which I love. Like, I love, going into a room with talent and, the things, how a conversation or how an idea evolves just through conversation, just through asking questions, just through drilling down into the detail. But on the other hand, when you reach a certain level in your career, there's financiers, there's stakeholders in the project. And for me as a producer, it's always about trying to create that balance. But I think, with the projects that if a project of mine has been commissioned and I've got money for it, then they are buying into not only me, but the talent, but the idea. And so that the integrity around the idea, the honesty that I spoke about previously, has to remain intact. And so even though there is an obligation to our financiers, first and foremost, it's an obligation to that idea and what we're trying to say. Because only if we're truthful, and we're not thinking about, I'm always thinking about audience, but primarily I'm thinking about making this idea the best it can be. And that involves audiences, and that involves satisfying financiers, but also it involves making sure like I'm truthful to myself, because we always talk about, an idea being the integrity of the idea or the truthfulness of a filmmaker, or, and that only comes when you're true to yourself. So I try to stay quite grounded in the thing that I'm trying to make and why I'm trying to make it. Allowing different voices into this space, which is a space where there is money available, is so important. Because and also what I think is equally important is to sometimes, as a financier, to say, actually, I don't really understand, this is not my world, but give people the space to explore something that you don't understand or something that you don't entirely get, because we're all different, all our experiences are different, and only by that acknowledgement do different voices, different people get to tell their stories. And only by telling those stories does the range of those stories become even more. And so I think with commissioning and, you know, storytelling, it's important that we allow people to be authentically themselves. And the only way to do that is to acknowledge that, you know, even though you are a decision maker, gatekeeper, you know, not every story is for you. And I think it's different if you are, you know, a commercial entity where you're, you know, the purpose of your entity is to make money. Different. But if you're a public, you know, facing institution, I think it's so important that you facilitate the growth and the voices and the, you know, you allow people to tell their stories in whichever shape, form, you know, is right and works, you know. And of course you've got to interrogate people's ideas and ask questions, but not everything is there to be understood by you, you know. We have to open our ears and listen, and, you know, and be willing to listen to other people, and invest in those ideas from early.